Like and subscribe right now or you're going to have terrible luck for the rest of the week.
Over total points there, only coming second to Mitra on day 2. Let's see, he's going to open up with a big 66 right here, and that's going to be...
As the HP advantage, where MONGRAAL will quickly try to just put the winning side to himself. It's not going to be possible. Big tag straight in.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Fortnite Kid here. By the way guys, do you want to win 1000 V-Bucks? If so, make sure to complete these 3 easy steps to win 1000 V-Bucks. First, simply leave a like on the video, then make sure you subscribe to Fortnite Kid with post notifications turned on. And lastly, comment your epic ID down below and the reason why you should win the V-Bucks. We are giving away V-Bucks every single video, so make sure to enter while you still can. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the video.
Here we go, game 2, and we're starting off with what looks to be 8 or 9 players here in Misty Meadows. This is going to be a quick one and an explosive one, not one that we're used to seeing. Yes, a lot of players drop here, but not this amount. This might be every single player who's playing in the Invitational this weekend landing in one single game, and that's the beauty of 300 players playing in a matchmaking style, is you never know what's going to happen if there's going to be 9 players at your drop spot, or uncontested.
Hey, drop spots become hot and then super heat up in moments like these, absolutely. If you look at the way placement's handed out, you want to get down to that 75 as fast as possible sometimes if you are on that aggressive run. Because sometimes winning is just not enough. You need those big elims, a nice turnaround from Balasconi, who gets a big pickup there. Zeno now taken out once again. Second time on a row on the broadcast. And still though, there's just so much more to get at Misty Meadows. Both sides, this POI is going to split off in half. This side usually is a little bit more calm and takes a little bit of time to get rolling. That right side is where more 50-50s happen, but right now from house to house, people are just diving through the front door, looking for that fast elimination, looking for the quick third party. This time, Balasconi's there, looking for the next one to pick up, trying to pre-fire a few pump shots, getting that third party I was talking about earlier though. He's got to move in just to make sure he doesn't get shot up anymore. Trying to control a few walls, finding out exactly where this player is hiding. It'll be the attic, and the cleaning man's there, wipes out the dust, gets that elimination right into his overall count of 4 before this game even gets started.
Through the chimney, he sweeps that up. Oh my goodness, Balasconi is playing this very well in the early game so far, and I think the way that he's playing is basically how you have to play this right here, because you said it. There is a lot of loot here at Misty Meadows, but I think it's mostly all taken at this point with how many people have got it and gotten out of here. So these fights, whenever they kind of break out between different parties, one person fighting on one side, one person fighting on the other, they spend the shield, spend the resources that makes other things get drawn out. So Balasconi taking good advantage of that and also not trading his HP too much.
And because of the speed of how much looting happens, you basically have like 8 moving chests walking around with loadouts. Every single individual here has looted a few houses. Balasconi as well is the only individual to do it in such style. A double ramp flip to pick that one up.
5 elims is what he's on so far out of this early game. It's not even halfway through the first zone, even starting to move. And he's up there. And he's still pushing for more. He's scouting these opportunities. And I think he's going to get more. Tohaj and Sino out in the distance fighting as well, up visibly where Balasconi can see them, and those guys are not going to have any loot at all. And now in comparison to what Balasconi has, 6 minis, harpoon fully charged, and a loadout to boot that will put anybody out here to shame, because there's just a cabin's worth of loot out here. Tohaj cleans it up, but I think at cost, because Balasconi's right there on top to end things quickly for Tohaj.
The pump might not connect. The cheeky just one tag from the AR in this box fight. You're talking about the loot he has. I'm looking at the ammo count in total right now. He can just stay online longer compared to his opponents, and because of that, be even more confident. Straight in the box. Nice home replay. This player just trying to survive right now, but it's not going to be possible. Balasconi with the 6th pickup, I think at record speed that we've seen so far, and it's just because of how volatile the system is and the fact that there was about 10 people landing Misty Meadows.
And he was ready for it. This is preparation. This is playing your cash cups every time to the fullest to have these W key games where you just play that many people in the cash cups. Or in your game to start things off. MONGRAAL in a big build fight. This is way above the hotel. And going so high, I'm getting a little nervous for him, but he's up there, and he's hanging. Metal being expended. He's got no more builds, and he's up at the top. But he does take out Primsy Revenge from yesterday, and oh my goodness, this build fight is so high. Thankfully, mostly Metal. Thankfully, it's not going to be able to get chopped too quickly. He's going to take the Siphon on the way down. In terms of the materials, there was a player lurking down in the garage, and I don't think he's actually spotting or looking at this build fight, because if he was, I think he would have been at the bottom of this, chopping it all down.
We saw last game, Matix was still here playing around Sweaty Sands. We saw yesterday, Versa played against MONGRAAL at the very first game. Versa actually took out Matix as we were watching that Misty Meadows fight break down, and now I think he might be the person who's hiding all the way down below.
So it might not have been full direct revenge, but maybe indirect, because Versa duos with Primsy and duoed with him throughout all the FNCS. So MONGRAAL takes out at least one half of that, so possible revenge in an indirect way. He's got to be careful, though. I don't think he realizes that this player's right next to him. Right so near, and there it is, the beams. Does lose his shield, but he has minis to get right back up to that, and he does back up into the garage. Finds a spot where he can build all 4 walls, no gaps left at all. But he is there. He goes right back up, though. Opens up the gap, and now he just listens. Where did he go? Is there potential here for me to go anywhere else? Yes, back down to the garage, and I get a big pot to put myself up to 200 HP. Just got to find the time now.
Enstar right now, who has the HP advantage, but MONGRAAL will quickly try to just put the winning side to himself. It's not going to be possible. Big Tag's traded. He goes down, and a little bit of a celebration from Enstar here. It's a big chance for a lot of other people to catch up now in that overall cumulative leaderboard. Enstar might be one of them, but MONGRAAL will not have to wait in queue once again to get his game going. Right now that his fishing route continues, because so far he's been treating every single person like a slurp fisher or a flopper as just an instant quick grab, one and done, chase down. He's going to try to set it up once again. Needs a big tag here. Will it be from that big pump shotgun? It's Bad Sniper and Huddy that take big trades, but Balascones didn't pick up the first. The next one might go to him as well, and that could be huge. It's easy, and it's cleaned up. The timing, impeccable.
That was beautiful from Balasconi, too. Didn't just dive that box. Yes, he got the first one on a Bad Sniper right head on, straight up, right over top of that. But instantly as that happened, he didn't spend time looting. He went over top, behind, find the path that the other player, Huddy, needed to actually be aware of and be quick enough to realize that. And he's looking for more now. Balasconi gets a heavy snipe off of that, an extra flopper, some materials, an AR upgrade to the burst. And there's another player who's directly in his sights. And don't forget, this is still first zone. Don't forget that that is just now starting to close. We finally reveal second zone. He's got 8 eliminations already. This is ridiculous.
He's basically already made that big endgame moment happen. Right now, just looking to get a little bit more, but possibly, biting off a little bit more than he can chew. That being said, the timing of that game, the amount of points he got, I think that's a good run. Things
are going to slow down from here because there's a couple players, Balasconi included, who probably just took out a lot of the different lobby, but they're probably now down and out or looking for positions. So it's certainly going to get quieter, certainly going to get slower as players start to make their rotation.
It's funny because we see people walk by on so many different POIs just seeing each other. Sometimes in a game before, shooting off each other, picking each other up fast. And in the next game, things can be so different. You can have one player just ruin the entire lobby, even mid-game glory. That's Julian Calm. We saw this man in the final 1v1 situation, now taken out. If you're talking about a game of upsets where weird things happen, I'm not sure if we're, in the down under right now, if this is like the upside down, my bad, if we're full Stranger Things mode at the moment, but this is a different game that I don't think we've seen the likes of before at this speed.
Yeah. And people talk about the differences in day 2. I think it started a little bit more stacked, but you talk about flipping things. The script might be getting flipped right here because players are going to be desperate, man. I'm just saying, 300 players, 80 people going to move on to the next stage. Otherwise, you're going right down to the reboot round. And yes, it might be another chance, but it's just harder because in the reboot round, if you're not familiar with that, there's going to be 520 players. It's everybody who made it to week 1 of the Invitational. who did not go through to any of the stages, did not make it to the grand finals, gets the opportunity to rise up. So out of 520 players, 20 will go and get their chance at the grand finals. Think of it kind of as a double elimination bracket in a sense. 2 chances at life.
At the same time, though, that reboot round is just one instance, one day, one session. It's no longer a 2 format, so whatever happens that day happens. Over here, though, for this game, this is the moment for either Shando or Ensar to pass on. 46 total points, looking to get up to 50 here off this elimination. Ensar tries to break through, gets a few tags, but gets traded. That's the counter to that SMG new box dive mechanic that we're seeing. You need to land a big shotgun shot. Yes, it's very hard, a lot harder than what we've seen before, but it's the only thing that can silence people, make them less confident. You have to just work at the mentality of these crazy players trying to get into the box.
You talk about it being a little harder. The scale of difficulty of hitting that compared to what it takes for you to SMG dive in the box is drastically different. But it is what must be done. Sometimes the scales are flipped in a direction that you have to overcome. Don't forget, Ensar was the player who took out MONGRAAL earlier on in that game. And he eats the little bit of, I don't know, overconfidence he got coming out of Sweaty Sands, taking out one of the better players in the world. And goes right down to Shando, who we saw in the last game take out Stompy, but with the 17 points that he got so far today in the bottom of his screen, that only puts him around the 50-point mark overall, which is nowhere near where you need to be at the end to be in top 80.
And if you listen closely enough, really closely, you can hear MONGRAAL doing the kitty cat dance all the way in this other game. A little bit of revenge. Talking about what happened last game to this one as well, Direvig, who we saw just get absolutely demolished in a box fight earlier on. I think it was another SMG box dive, one and done. Will be central position in a huge metal base. And we saw MONGRAAL have this opportunity last game, kind of central, looking at where to get next. Although this is not ultimate height, this is a good place to see exactly what can happen, but a blunder. Trying to go for a big heavy sniper play, and now you'll see that flip of confidence again. It's not Ensar, but now Direvig now, who has to basically look at how he's going to approach this fight. Piece control available from his opponent, but it's kind of even off on this fight as to who's coming out on top so far. It is Direvig's base, or Direvig's base, looking to see if he can land more shots.
There was such a big opportunity there for Direvig. I'm just going to call him Direvig because I can't say that. There was such a big opportunity there because Yoa actually could not jump up over the floor that was edited, that was Direvig's. And that was all his walls, so he could have moved out to the side and really punished him. But there was a moment in time where there was a big chance for Direvig, but now everything revealed, all his plays, his cards are known. He's not hiding it.
It's just so risky at this point, at this level of a base that's, you know, so fortified. You have a drum gun, heavy sniper, launch pad. Is it worth to go for these 4 points? Especially if you just did this last trade and you lost it, essentially. You've had to use so much of your heals to get here. This is now a rundown again of what happened before. Hopefully he can actually dive into this box. He does, but now he's in his enemy's space. Doesn't matter when you have the drum gun. I think that's just complete security. You're never really in trouble box to box. He lands the shots. Now he is the king of the zone.
I mean, if you have the drum gun, Shio, and you have the hypothetical tracking to go with it,
okay,
of course it is worth it, man. Of course it is. Like, that is a imbalance. I mean, that's a fight that is on both sides, not necessarily the same scale of things like we just talked about with Shando and Ensar. Like, that's directly what it is. So use that to your advantage if you have it. I mean, that's the strength of it, the mythic item. So yes, maybe it's like, hey, you have the position, you have center zone, you have the launch pad, you have all this stuff that will last you to endgame, but if you're not doing anything with it, that's the difference. And speaking of, remember the last game from Direvig? It was actually against Caxi in that zone fight, all the way up in the north side of the map. So didn't have what he needed to actually go through in that one. It was an uncomfortable situation overall. But this time, he has the ingredients. He just needs to spend a little bit more time in the kitchen.
Sometimes, though, it gets a little bit too hot. Shando electing to move out. go towards zone. I see Fast Roki on the screen. We saw his big brain play happen off before. Lies in the live here as well, and he hasn't actually moved for a very long time. This will be one of my favorite end games, the Frenzy Farm, natural low ground, kind of classic Fortnite style where a mountain's not in the way. It's all about how you're building. Mid ground is what's really important. But at the same time, where the zone pulls on the 5th circle, the half and half we call it a lot of the times, if it doesn't go your way, it gets that much harder to rotate and start that natural game style. Right now, Scrib looking to beam in first, try to go for a little bit more pressure. And get a free elimination pickup. Doesn't really find anything just yet. No mobility in his kit. He actually does pick up shifts. 25 seconds are left to decide the fate of a lot of people who are evenly spread out at Frenzy Farm.
And yesterday's Scrib did get a win, but at the top of the leaderboard, he did not pin the score that he wanted to because 88th place for him. And only 22 points so far. He is pushing himself over the 100 mark with what he has done today. And he does get the 5th zone, so a lot of opportunity, just like we talked about with Dryvig. He can have a nice game in this one if things go well, and he does have the floppers for the opportunity. But I think a lot rides on how players position around him. He did not build up. He didn't waste that time. He finds another one. Yes! Onto Skylar, who we watched earlier. And I think he's going to try to dive these materials. It might be worth, depending on how much he spends and how much Skylar actually has. I'm trying to look at the inventory before we move off. No. We get the wide. We switch over to see what else is going on in the game. Toos is here, who had that massive 10-plus Elim win in the first game. Moki as well. And here's her score, 19 points so far today. Yesterday, it was okay. Today, you know she's looking for something bigger. She's looking to get on the scales of wins and not just the mediocre performances. Not necessarily mediocre, because it was something like 17th, but she's a trooper. And yes, another one out of the sky. An Elim and possibly Harpoon? No, it's a little bit too far out of range.
Still, this is kind of where it all starts. A very good position for a base. You're talking about getting more points. You want to be up in a base watching launch patterns fly and picking them off as they do so. Right now, though, Moki pushing her lead of sorts, actually, in a very good position now. A nice decision to expand the base, move exactly where you were before on the edge of zone to a more central position, to have a say at other people, possibly the whole lobby moving overall. If you look at Artur, that's where she would have been. Just one slight elevation change and a push forward in layers. She looks so much better now. Teak and Toos looking like ants compared to where Moki is in position. And she has a launch pad as well to boot after she's done with what she needs to do here. The risk, though, for getting here, it was only held up by one floor, one stair. It gets shot down still, though. She has that backup in mobility. The Harpoon is there in case she needs those mats back. The game is very much in her hands.
And it was a quick switch off of that wood directly into the metal to make this fortified, make this good for her. So solid switch. She does have the launch pad. Yesterday her performance was 42nd. 118 points. So she's up there with 140-ish so far today. One thing to note is that her day 2 performance was what propelled her to be at this stage, because she wasn't in the top 300 after day 1 of week 1. So maybe if history is as it is, she will have a stronger performance on day 2. Everything is possible now for Moki. The potential is hers.
And now it's all about what's happening in the game. Moki looking to move forward. Just one elimination so far. The mat's running out too, because we saw how much she had to basically invest in that position before. She needs to find some type of elimination close by here in Harpoon range to try to get a say in the rest of the competition. Big shots over towards the Storm. 264 tags, but not going to have a say as to what happens next. She's in position. She knows where people are weak. Lazen is right beside her on her wall. Teak now and Artur above. Scrib controlling the whole lobby as well. The 7th zone locks in and she moves forward. Back to back though. It will be Lazen that plays the trap and pops her, unfortunately. Health pool down to 0. He's on the back end now, has to use a few floppers to get straight back to action. around all his builds. Nowhere in there. It'll be Kiko all the way up top, controlling the whole lobby, but Scrib is there right beside him as well. And now we look towards the bottom side. Savage is here. Mexi on the flame layer is him. He's just getting his entire loadout structured, and it's the drum gun flopper RPG pump combination. I'm getting a few DreamHack vibes with this position he's in right now. Could it be a repeat of an insane game that takes out big names all the way at the bottom of this crop field? He's looking to harvest, has the trap set up with these floor edits, doesn't actually find them for now, moves forward first. He's looking for the first shot to pounce on eliminations.
Yes! He gets it. The RPG with the drum gun, usually it's the shotgun that follows up, but with that in his hands, he's going to make it really, really work. And with 3 eliminations so far for Mr. Savage, even looking back now as his own bounces in this direction, almost finds a player in his box. Yes, he does. The wall too, but he gets away. A mouse escapes right through the little hole that he's made. Mr. Savage now, though, 9 players remaining total in this. He reloads the RPG, makes sure everything is ready for him to pounce on the next. We'll see if that actually shows itself. And yes, Trulex down and out.
A general on a battlefield, Mr. Savage is doing things in such cool fashion, keeping things so methodical, time after time, moving from box to box, but knowing all his options, and he has so many. He can lead with the drum gun, hit with those pump shots, and has the RPG as well in case things get hairy. He wants to get explosive. Still, though, choosing to stay on low, and that's because that's where he can just collect the bones of every single person dropping down in quick desperation. It's Savage who you're going to be answering to with that drum gun RPG combination, still spraying through. Builds will not save you. Whoa, a harpoon dodge, making me dodge in real life. That was so close to his head. 5 eliminations now, box to box, lands the next shot. A pickaxe is what he'll have to use because he's running out of steam, but still delivering damage. A grappler now in his toolkit, and oh my god, a 160 pump. Magwell goes down. A final 1v1 situation here for Mr. Savage. Has the launch pad, every option on the board. He's going to choose the coolest, the cleanest one. Looking for possible floppers. No. Not possible. It's Airwalks who gets him down from the sky, but you can't discredit what that man just did. The absolute clinic he put on low ground. Mr. Savage never left.